Hey there guys, welcome back for this week's Warhammer Imperium magazine painting video. And today I am painting one of the Necron warriors that we got with issue 2 of the magazine. So what I've gone ahead and done here is primed the model in a silver spray paint. This is just a generic one from Wilkinson in the UK. I think they call this the metallic paint. It does tend to start quite shiny. It is quite silver. It's not really like lead belcher or gunmetal. It's quite a shiny silver paint. So what I've done is applied a wash of Nuln oil over the whole model, and this not only dulls the silver down a little bit, but obviously also gets into all those recesses and adds some nice shading. And so essentially this becomes the base colour for my Necrons. So what I'm now doing is applying a shade of this is Screaming, and is mixed roughly 1 part Screaming Bell to about 9 parts Lamian Medium. The idea is that you can see in the palette there, the well that I'm doing it in. If I sort of was to move that up the wall of the well, it would wash back down. It doesn't stick too well. This is what I want. It gives a slightly transparent look to it, and I can get a little bit of a fade. It's not going to be a perfect blend. I'm not looking for that, but I am looking for a rough fade from the silver into the Screaming Bell. And then what I can do once this dries, I can go back over with multiple layers and build it up as I want and get darker and darker as I come towards the bottom of each section. So I'm applying this to any of the what I call the armor parts. So obviously he has this skeleton which looks like thin bones that builds him up, and then on the outside of that you can see that he's got these thicker leg pieces. So obviously he's got the thick pieces on his thighs, his upper legs, and then on his below his knee you can see that there's sort of half covered, and then the rest of it is broken off. So all I'm doing is just working my way around the model, covering all of these pieces with exception to the shoulder blades. They're going to be the other part of my army colours. So you can see here I'm doing the back of the head, but I don't do the front. The front is going to be the same colours as the shoulder, or the shoulders. And so that is pretty much 1/3 of the model done. You can see that I haven't attached the arm here. What I'm doing is painting this separate so I can access the chest area easier. All I've done is obviously glued in the other arm, left this one out as this one can be popped in easily. I've just clipped off the very small little nubbin peg thing that's up there, and that will just glue in and hold there itself. Right, so for the shoulder blades and the face, nice and easy this one. Just some thinned down Incubi Darkness, roughly 1 part Incubi to 4 or 5 parts Lamian Medium. And what this does, again, it leaves some of that metal to shine through and gives it a sort of a much more metallic kind of look. What I'll do is apply this a couple of times just to build it up a little bit, and then I will use a little bit of a stippling motion and sort of spot it on from about halfway down the blades back. So essentially leaving the top part in the more metallic type and then getting a little bit more solid and opaque as we come down the shoulder blades. I'll also do the same thing on the face, and obviously be sure to paint the underside of the shoulder blades as well. The only other thing then is the long barrel of the rifle will be done in the same method. So yeah, Again, super easy. With this, there's no need for highlights because of the metal that is showing through. Putting a highlight on there will be too contrasting to this more metallic look. So the idea here is just to keep it nice and simple with glazes. This way I can throw out a whole army probably in a weekend. You know, it wouldn't take too long. Right, so once that's had time to dry, I'm now taking a small dry brush from the Army Painter and some Stormhost Silver, and just dry brushing over the silver areas. Not too much over the sort of the brass coppery areas, as I don't want this obviously overpowering that, but I do want it to pick off the edges of the armour and blend the silver a little bit down into the coppery look. And as you can see here, I do go over the shoulder guards, and all this is going to do is just add a bit of a silver highlight to the edges. And again, this is going to work towards that sort of worn metal or metallic, you know, coloured metal look. Right, so to prepare for the green glow, all I'm doing is just taking some slightly thinned down white scar and applying it into obviously any areas that I want the green to be. I'll then use some not so thin down white scar and just apply that to the top of all the little sort of nodes. Obviously there's 4 on each side of the rifle here. I don't mind a little bit of the paint getting on the edges around the area, as that's obviously going to help with a sort of a glow effect. But obviously I will go ahead and paint the charged area or whatever this is on the Necron warrior himself. I'll do this for his eyes and also the gaps between his ribs, as I want a green glow to come out of those areas as well, and any pipe work. So for the cables themselves, I've gone ahead and mixed up a bit of a dark green here using some Incubi Darkness and Warpstone Glow. Just to get a dark green, you could use something like Caliban green if you wanted. It's pretty much a similar tone. So I'll, like I say, paint the cable with this colour, and then adding a little bit of white and some more of the green glow. Oh, sorry, the green glow, the Warpstone Glow. I'll then apply this to the centre area, and then cleaning the brush, I'll add some white. And basically I'm just blending this down so that we go from a dark green on the outside edges to pretty much the Warpstone Glow in the middle. And you can see there that I applied a little bit too much white, so I just quickly rinsed the brush off and then blended that out whilst it was still wet. So for the green, or the glowing green itself, I'm using some Tesseract Glow here. This is the newer technical paint, came out I think it was last year, maybe late the year before, but around the time that Indomitors came out. So yeah, it's one of my favourite paints for getting a nice green glow. It settles into recesses and has a nice green look to it, but on raised areas such as each of these little nodules, if they're painted white, it gives them a little bit of a yellowy green stain to them, and essentially just makes them look like they are glowing with this slightly darker outer edge. So obviously I apply this over anything that is going to have this glow. We do get a pot of this within the Imperium magazine collection, as it is part of the start painting set that these 3 models came from. So I am 100% sure that we will get a pot of this within the collection. So if you want to use the same technique, then don't worry guys, we will get it at some point. Obviously this is one that I've bought earlier. So I'm just adding this to the end of the broken cable there, just to make it stand out a little bit, make it look like that's the green glow of the inner cable. And you can see I'm wiping it over the whole of the cable that I painted earlier. Once this dries, it is going to settle down and just leave that lighter glow in the middle with the darker edge. And then yeah, the only other place to apply this is in between the rib cages. Okay, so technically you could say that the Necron is finished there if you want to you know, have a nice clean Necron look, but I want mine to be a little bit more worn, beaten and battered. So obviously they've, you know, been asleep for a few thousand years or millennia. So all I'm doing here is, with a beaten up old brush, I'm using some typhus corrosion and just applying this basically anywhere where I want some rust effect. So this, I sort of focus this on joint areas such as the ankles, knees and things like that, and a little bit more on sort of the silver areas, and then obviously on the blue, the Incubi Darkness shoulder guard areas. But yeah, essentially I'm just blobbing it anywhere that I want extra rust. So I'll then let that dry and then move on to adding the orange. Right, and for the orange, you know, that orange rust look that rust tends to have, I'm just using some Rise of Rust. Again, same brush, just a blob of Rise of Rust on the end of it, swirl it about on the pad just to remove most of the excess, and then dry brush it across that typhus corrosion, which has that fine grit to it, and this will pick up on that texture. You can pretty much do this over any of the rust areas. What I will then do is dip back into the Rise of Rust just to get a little bit more on the brush, but I don't want a big glob of it there. I just want sort of each of the individual bristles to have a little bit of the paint on them. And then what I'll do is sort of blob that in areas where I want a little bit more of a heavier orange, you know, some really heavy rust on there. I'll just, like I say, texture it on with the brush. And then that there is the model finished. So I'll just finish up with the Rise of Rust here and let you guys see the finished model. And so there he is, the finished model. So obviously I mentioned earlier that I did his ribs green. I completely misled you guys. For my models, or for my army, his rib cage doesn't have an underglow. That was the alternative paint scheme that I was trying out and wasn't too happy with the glow. So yeah, ignore that part where I mentioned that. Aside from that though, there he is, all finished, all rusty up and everything else. Obviously the base I'm going to get around to once I've finished all of the, or once I get the 20 guys. This was obviously done out of the 3, so when I get them and paint them up, I'll do the actual bases for them and get them finished up. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nice short one today, nothing overly complicated. If you did enjoy the video, hit that like button. If you haven't yet subscribed and would like to see more content, hit that subscribe button. Help the channel grow, please guys. You know, I am trying hard to get regular content out and content that you guys like, so you know, the odd subscribe every now and then would be much appreciated. If you have recently subscribed, then a big warm welcome to you. Welcome to the inner circle. I do have another video along with this one, guys, for the playthrough for this week's videos, which comes with issue 2, so do check that out. I've got links for both of those in the corner here. But until next time guys, take it easy and keep painting those minis.